Well, welcome Napa Valley Life Church. We are really excited to be talking about the library today. I'm Zach, and we have Janet McCoy with us, who is our dutiful librarian. Janet, how long have you been coming to Napa Valley Life Church, and tell us a little bit about how you ended up here?
Well, we started coming to the church, I believe it was like in 2002.
Okay.
And mostly, actually, we were drawn in by Main Street Bethlehem because we drove past it to and from work and saw the walls going up and just had to come see what it was all about.
Nice. Very cool. So how long have you been involved with our library?
Well, pretty much from the beginning.
Okay.
Early on, Pastor Dave Waters was the pastor at the time, and we were just chatting, and something I said made him seem to think I was volunteering to be the librarian. He goes, anyway, that came to be, and a local pastor named, I think it was Burston, had passed away, and his family donated his entire collection to the library. So there were tons of books, and so we started just, cataloging them and organizing them, and that probably took about a year.
Okay. Wow. So how do we end up with, obviously a big chunk of it came through that donation. Does it primarily come through donations? Do we buy books? How does that work?
Mostly donations. Okay. I do have a small budget each year to buy, some of the more current, more popular type things, and but mostly it's donations. Right now we're overflowing with donations, so we're not taking any more at this point, but that's where a lot of the books come from as well. The things that come in that we either already have or can't use because they're marked up or whatever. I do have a free bookshelf, so you can just put the books on there so people can take what they want and keep them.
Perfect. And so we all grew up going to the library, some maybe not, I don't know, I did. So it's a very similar library system. Could you kind of explain that to us?
Yes, it's actually at this point not too similar because it's totally manual.
Okay.
And we've tried to set it up as do it yourself as possible, self-service, To check out a book, I have one of those.
There you go.
Actually, all there is to it is each item has a card in it, and all we ask is that you put the date and your name on it and drop it in the box that's on the table in the library, which I guess we should mention where the library is because a lot of people don't really know.
There you go. It's actually downstairs near the kitchen by the entrance to the English building. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find the kitchen, you can find the library.
There you go. Follow your nose.
Yeah, so just all it is signing the card, putting it in the checkout box that's on the table in the library. And then when you return the book, you don't have to retrieve the card. Just there's a bin under the table, and you just put it in there, and then I come along later and match up the card and put it back on the shelf.
Perfect. That's pretty easy. Seems pretty easy. So, wanted to make a few recommendations here real quick for some things that are in our library currently that you might want to check out. So we do have not only books but also some DVDs. So for the kids, this movie The Star, which is pretty recent release, is really good. An animated Christmas story from the birth of Christ, which is really awesome. And we've just got a couple books. The first one is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. It's a classic. C.S. Lewis wrote Chronicles of Narnia. He is a classic author even outside of the Christian realm. But this is probably the most referenced defense of your faith. So if you want to know how to talk about in a reasonable way why you believe what you believe, that our faith is not just something that we believe and take as a blind faith, but something that we believe because there's good reason to. Check out Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Many people's testimonies start with, I came to know Christ through this book. So that's an excellent one for people who have questions. The next one is probably in the top 5 books of every Christian needs to read. It's called Knowing God by J.I. Packer. J.I. Packer is one of the greatest modern theologians. He's a Brit that's lived in Canada. But this is about really a broad view throughout the Bible of who is God and how can we know him and what that means for our life. So not just resting heavily on one attribute of God, but having a full spectrum of understanding who God is, how we can know him, and how that changes our lives. Another top 5 book on that every Christian should read is Holiness, The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul. R.C. Sproul, also one of the great modern theologians, and just an understanding of what it means that God is holy. When we talk about the attributes of God, there's one attribute that's repeated 3 times. He is holy, holy, holy. So when things are repeated 3 times in the Bible, it means, hey, we need to really take a look at this. This is, what does it mean that God is holy, and how does that change how I live my life? So really great stuff there. And last, the most contemporary book that I'm going to recommend is this book, What Jesus Demands of the World by John Piper. This is a book about what it means to be a Christian disciple and what Christ calls us to take up our cross and follow him. And so what does that mean practically? What do I need to do to take up my cross and follow him? What does Jesus require of disciples? So this one is a must check out. Very modern, so not everybody should be able to plow through it. Short chapters, and even just one chapter is a good read, and you'll get a lot out of this book as far as the Christian life. So these are just some great recommendations that are in our library right now, accessible to you for free.
We've been talking about hopefully getting some bookshelves in the lobby, and just putting a selected books or DVDs or whatever is either new to the library or classics such as these. Just recommended reading, just a few on display that can be checked out on the spot.
Perfect.
And hopefully we can get that going soon.
Yeah, definitely. So if as you're coming back to church, come on through the lobby, and we'll have some great recommendations much like these for you guys to check out. Well, thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you around.